Greetings, Cannabis Friends, and welcome to episode 11 of From Soil to Oil, a cannabis plant's journey from being planted in organic soil to harvest to being extracted into Rick Simpson oil. Today is day 56 of flower, so you can see behind me that everything's looking like chunky. All the nugs and colas are super dense and thick. It's super awesome. It smells delicious in here. I just can't wait to harvest and just reap the fruits of my labor, kind of a thing. So we're going to get up close videos of each of the tents, the Sour OG behind me and the White Truffles off to my right towards the end of the episode. But first off, we're going to do like a progress report. I'm going to go over some of the nutrition that I've been using up until today, which I just want to document that, and then go over a couple challenges that I've had since the last episode to document those as well. And then I'm going to go over when I'm going to harvest, because we're 8 weeks in. Today is day 56. And also my planned methods for drying and curing. So I'm in Arizona, super hot, super dry, so it's a tricky situation over here. But before we begin, if you are new here, then welcome. If you are returning, then welcome back. My name is Al Morenton. I'm the host of From Soil to Oil and the owner and lead extractor at Movida Oils. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy this type of content, and let's get into the episode. All right, so as far as nutrition, what I've been using is, there's not a lot of things because I'm doing an organic grow, and we put a bunch of stuff in the soil, even worms and different like living microbes and microorganisms and stuff at the beginning, at the very beginning in the veg state. And so we're just making the soil super nutritious, and then we feed the soil along the way, and then the soil actually just feeds the plants. That's my thing. So I don't actually feed the plants. I just feed the soil and keep it thriving. Keep the ecosystem going, and then that ecosystem makes the plants just flourish and thrive. Okay, so I'm using this stuff called Biofos by Rootwise, and it's something that you use during the flower stage, and I'm assuming it's working well because like both tents are doing really, really well as far as the budding and like as way how they're forming, and they're dense and all that kind of good stuff. So super happy about that. And there was other like brands that I could have chosen, but I chose Rootwise because it was more natural, and it goes more along my like holistic principles. There was others that are like micronized, nanoparticles and all kind of stuff like that, which I don't like, and so I like the more pure, microorganisms, and Rootwise has that. Okay, and next up is the MSM, which is a bioavailable source of sulfur. And by the way, sulfur is what gives, and back in the day, what gave the plants their skunky smell, right? Because sulfur basically has a rotten egg kind of a smell, and it's lacking in the soil these days. It used to be super abundant, and they call it one of the 5 elements of life, and it's for humans, animals, and even plants. It used, like I said, it used to be abundant in soil, and it's not anymore. It's lacking, and someone my height and weight would have about 4 pounds of it in their system, in their body, right? And it's the third most abundant single substance in a human body. So it's super important, and they call it one of the 5 elements of life for a reason. And we used to get it from our soil, and it's lacking in the soil, so I figured I'll put it back in the soil, right? Because I've been selling it since 1992. I've been taking it since 1992 every day, and I thrive on it. So I figured the plants would too, and they are thriving, and I believe that is a big part of it. So I'm giving that to them at least once a week. Basically once a week, the MSM. And I started off super small, just like a quarter teaspoon between all 8 plants. I have 8 plants going, and it's a quarter teaspoon between all 8 plants. And this last time around that I did it, which was last week, about a week ago, I did a quarter teaspoon for each plant, right? So much more, but they thrived on it. Nothing bad happened, and only good stuff happened, right? And then so that's the MSM, super important. And like I said, it's also what gives the plants their nice deep aroma. All right. So next up is Shilajit, and I talked about that in previous episodes. And it's a multi-mineral, basically. It's nature's multi-mineral. It's harvested in the Himalayas, and it's a natural source of like all the minerals and trace elements, like all 84 minerals, trace elements, and it has an abundance of humic acid and fulvic acid naturally occurring with it, which makes the minerals almost 100% bioavailable to humans. I take it, and then and it's also awesome for plants. And I'm sort of proving that right now, because I don't know anybody else that's using it in their grow, but I thought it would be awesome because the plants thrive on minerals, and it's natural plant-based minerals, right? So and it seems to be working. So that's the basic combo that I'm using, and the only other thing that I'm using, so just those three things, and two of them are human supplements. I literally take them from my supplement cabinet, and put it in the little sprayer tank, and spray the plants with it, right? The soil. So it's really cool. The only other thing I'm using is that neem cake tea that I've mentioned. I also did a separate video on it, and I use that as a natural insect repellent. It's also nutrition for the plants, so when you spray it, the plants just get greener, and there's nothing harsh in there. No like man-made chemicals or like herbicides, fungicides, pesticides, insecticides, nothing like that, right? But it is like a repellent for the fungus gnats and stuff like that. So I've been using that as well, like probably once or twice a week. I used it like 3 times a week at first, just to get rid of the situation that had formed, and then to maintain it, I do about once or twice a week. Okay, and that's basically the nutrition. It's not a whole lot, and there's no like real method to the madness other than just being intuitive about it and saying, I think it needs this, I think it needs that these days, because this is my first indoor grow, and so I'm just doing everything manually. I'm doing the lights manually. I'm turning them on and off daily. Like nothing is on a timer, right? Everything I'm doing manually. I'm watering by hand, everything, just to get the full experience. And then I could start doing things, automating things down the road, that warrant it, and other things that warrant hands-on, I will continue to do hands-on. Okay, so when am I going to harvest? Actually, let's go over some challenges since the last episode first. So there hasn't really been challenges per se, other than just since I'm doing everything manually, just like remembering to turn the lights on and turn them off, when I'm supposed to, and watering and feeding. Like I said, I'm doing all that intuitively, so it's sort of a challenge, and I seem to be doing, pretty okay with it though, and I'm happy with the way things are turning out. But the challenge that I had since last week, the major one, which isn't really a challenge, it was just a pain in the butt, was that buds are getting so dense and heavy that the branches cannot support them, and like just tons of them are like falling over, and I'm having to just stake up like several branches daily. Like yesterday I had to do like 10 different branches, like they had major colas on them, and then today I did like 4 or 5 of them, and I might have to do more, I don't know. Like, so every day, like there's some that are falling over, and some that are have to readjust, and stuff like that. So it's sort of scary, because you don't want all that to break off or anything, because it took so long to get them to that state. And I did stake up a bunch of stuff previously, but there's this other stuff that just, like overnight stuff is just falling over, right? I'll wake up, but luckily nothing is broken off. It's just fallen, and the branches have a lot of flexibility in them, and I believe that's part of the reason for that is the MSM, because it gives connective tissue more strength and flexibility. Like in humans, ligaments and tendons, it makes them stronger but more flexible. So I think it does the same for the branches in the plants. And because they've fallen over like 90 degrees, but that didn't snap, and I was able to stake them up, and there was like no degradation or anything. They were healthy. And so sort of like nerve-wracking because it's my first grow, and I unzip the tent in the morning, to turn the lights on, and I see that, and oh my gosh. So it's sort of a good thing that I'm turning them on and turning them off manually every day, because it's forcing me to look inside every day. And because I know other growers that they'll go days without looking inside their tent because everything is automated. So if I were to have done that with this grow, then there would be plants falling over, and then falling over even more, and they might snap off then, but if they're falling over and they're resting on each other, they might, like there's things that could happen, including mold and whatever, that because they're just touching on each other, and you don't really want that, right? You want them to be standing up and getting as much light as possible and flourish as much as possible. So that was the only challenge that I had, was the buds getting so heavy that they're making the branches fall over and having to stake everything up. And but it is giving me practice on how to stake things up and maneuver inside of tight spots, because it's super hard to maneuver inside of there, because there are so many awesome nugs, and you don't want to damage any as you're trying to work on something else, right? It's a sort of a rough process. It's simple, but it's not easy, kind of a thing, right? And it's a thoughtful process. You have to be on your game with the stuff. And as long as you're doing that, then things will be okay. If you slip up, if you just fall by the wayside, for even a couple of days, you could go backwards, very very heavy duty. I could see that for sure. But and that's why I've been on it, and just being on my game as much as possible. So like we say, be patient, persistent, and consistent with your efforts. We do that, with in my business, with the clients, with holistic health, and taking supplements, doing your workouts, whatever it is, being patient, persistent, and consistent with your efforts. So I'm doing the same thing with the heart, with the grow, just being patient, persistent, and consistent, not faltering, just doing what I'm supposed to do day in and day out, and getting good results because of it, right? So next up is when am I going to harvest, right? So I'm going to actually harvest, because everything is getting so dense and so full, and I showed some pictures to the people at the grow at Metro Grow in Glendale. That I showed it to the owner and a couple people over there that are growers, and they said that it's pretty much ready to harvest anytime. And so I'm going to harvest on Tuesday. Okay, this coming Tuesday. Today is a Friday, so just in a few days I'm going to be harvesting, and I'll be showing that as well in this series, the harvest part. I'm going to show all the way to the until we get into final stages in Rick Simpson oil that's in a syringe or in capsules or tincture, etc. Right? So my challenge with that is, I mentioned that I live in Arizona, so the humidity goes down to 30%, and maybe even lower than that, and the humidity needs to be about 65% for drying and curing. And then on the other spectrum of that, the temperature right now, it's July 2024, and it's getting up to 120 degrees during the day and over 100 degrees at night, which is way too hot. It should be something like 70 degrees, right? So we're 50 degrees hotter with the ambient temperature outside, right? So it would take a lot of resources to keep the whole house or even the whole lung room in that range. So what I'm doing is, there's this apparatus called a canitrol, and it looks almost like a refrigerator, like a small refrigerator or a large dehydrator, right? And it has those little shelves like a food dehydrator does. And what it does is it senses the ambient temperature within itself, within its containment, at perfect temperature and humidity. And and it has some other stuff like fans and vacuum, whatever going on, and to sort of speed the process up without degradation. And actually, they've tested the outcome and the terpene profile, and even cannabinoid profile, etc., is higher when it's dried and cured in this little canitrol thing. I don't know what you call it. It's a drying and curing machine or something like that, right? But there's no harsh chemicals or no chemicals at all that are used. It's just this ambient temperature, the fans, the vacuum, whatever that's going on inside of it, that helps it to dry. And it usually takes a couple of weeks to dry and a couple more weeks to cure. And in this machine, it dries in 4 days supposedly, and then cures in 4 days. And the curing is much better than when it's done in nature, I guess you would say, like when you're burping the stuff in the jars and doing all the different things that people do when they're curing their buds from their home grow, right? So it's supposed to be much better than that, and the curing part is what brings out the the juice of the product, right? Like that terpene profile, and gives it the flavor. It actually removes some of that chlorophyll that's in the plant itself. Because when you burn it, it gives it like a harsh flavor. So some of the chlorophyll is evaporated away, and this different stuff happens during the curing cycle that's different than the drying stage. And I think it's a lost art. And so I'm excited about this machine, because I've seen many growers that have lost their harvest or degraded their harvest, because of the Arizona heat and lack of humidity. Okay, so that's what's going on with the harvest. Going to harvest in about 4 days. We're going to use the Cannatrol, the drying and curing device, and I am going to do reports on it in this From Soil to Oil series to let you know how it works. Like if it works super awesome, or if it is a piece of shit. I'll let you know. Okay, but I have heard really good reports on it, even from my friend Mo that owns Metro Grow over in Glendale, Arizona. Okay, so let's see. So that's basically it for the updates and the progress reports for our grow From Soil to Oil. And we'll be back in a minute with the up close and personal with the Sour OG tent behind me. Welcome back, Cannabis Friends. Here we are at the Sour OG tent. Like we said, it's day 56, 8 weeks into flower. So we're getting ready to harvest in a few days. You can see like these colas and nugs are just looking super chunky, right? Just super thick, and like they're dense as hell, and there's just a bunch of them just everywhere, just like colas and golf ball nugs. Even the little tiny guy over here has just like some crazy stuff going on as well, and then so there's 4 plants in here, and 3 of them just are like crazy huge, and tons of nugs everywhere, and colas, and like I said, like things are just falling over and having to prop shit up, and it's crazy just how heavy these nugs are getting, and it's just like super exciting to see everything, like how like everything is just so friggin' pretty, boom boom boom. So it's just hard to get everything in, but yeah, you can see this. Everything is just super nice. I think this one is a indica dominant, kind of a thing, because it's just so colorful, and it's more squatty, and everything is just super dense and thick, and you'll see in just a minute at the White Truffles tent, things are more stretched out and super bright green and frosty, and I think that one's more sativa. So that's the Sour OG, just crazy nugs. And we'll see you back in a minute at the White Truffles tent. Welcome back, Cannabis Friends. Now we are at the White Truffles tent. Remember that it is a super tall plant. These things are like well over 6 feet tall. I had to take off a bunch of the lower stuff because it wasn't getting enough light or whatever, and it was taken away from the plant more than it was adding to it. And then when I did that, then these nugs up here just started filling out, and we started getting more like colas and just different stuff, especially towards the back and the center. But like you can see, it's looking super awesome, and like I said, this tent is super tall, so the colas just go way up. You can't see them through the opening. Because they're way up taller, because like I said, this thing's like 92 inches, but these are much more bright green. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but way more bright green than the Sour OG tent. Remember, this is White Truffles, and the nugs are a little bit more spread apart. There are some nice colas, but the nugs are a lot of golf ball nugs, and like really frosty, and that's why I think this one is more of a sativa leaning, and the other one is more indica leaning, because it's more dense and thick nugs, and like more of a squatty kind of a plant compared to this one. It could be the lights, etc., but also because there are 2 different lights in each of the tents, but that's what I'm thinking as far as indica and sativa. The White Truffles being more sativa leaning, and the Sour OG being more indica leaning. Okay, so we'll be back in just a minute to close out the episode. So as you can see, everything is going really awesome with the grow so far. The nugs and the colas are looking super chunky and delicious, and just really happy with how everything has come so far, especially since this is my first grow, and I'm really looking forward to the harvest and the drying and curing process as well, because you know it'll be a new discovery process for me as well. So that concludes this episode of Cannabis Friends and 420 Buds. Be sure to leave any questions or comments below, and subscribe to our channel if you do enjoy this type of content. And reach out to support at myfitlife.net or schedule a complimentary call if you have questions about RSO or FICO, how to take it, or where to get it. And note, we are currently only working with clients in the United States. This is Al Morenton, host of From Soil to Oil. I hope you have a beautiful day. Peace.